Ben Tan, welcome to the channel. It's great to have you on.
Thank you so much, Jack, for inviting me to this.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I've really been liking your content on Twitter. Some of our listeners have become somewhat interested in living abroad and personal finance through a more global lens. So I think I'd like to ask you some questions about budgeting in Singapore. How do your expenses look? And I guess I'll just stop there and see where you take it, and then we'll dig in a little deeper.
Sure, for sure. Well, as most of you are aware, Singapore is one of the highest cost of living, second to New York, if I'm not wrong, or on par. And to me, it really depends on your lifestyle, right? If let's say you are living that, high societal kind of lifestyle, then of course your expenses is going to be a lot. But if let's say you budget it well, you plan carefully, in fact, you can actually live through it, right? You see, there's a huge I would say there's a huge extreme. There's a huge extreme between in terms of food expenses. We have this kind of, I would say, coffee shop, right? In our lingo, it's called kopitiam, whereby you can actually, get your lunch, your dinner at around, I would say, $7 which is about 5 to 6 USD, right? So and it's filling, right? And it's filling. So I thought, if you budget yourself, you don't eat really too expensive food, you eat in such coffee shop area, you can actually save a lot of money. Now, I would say that one of the biggest, or I would say the most expensive items that usually shock foreigners will be our alcohol. The alcohol tax here, or they classify as a sin tax, SIN, whereby you commit a sin, the sin tax, like your cigarettes or alcohol. The government actually tax a lot. So I would say one pint of a normal lager beer here in Singapore will easily set you around 15 USD. So it's pretty steep, right? And if let's say you're talking about opening a bottle of wine or a bottle of whiskey, yeah, that's gonna be really expensive. Now, in terms of transportation, which is one of the biggest expenses, right? The public transport here is really, really well connected. You can get from point A to point B within an hour, fast, efficient, smooth, without any complexity. You don't have to kind of like navigate through the maze of a subway network. Taxi here, the cabs here are, I think, affordable. But what's not affordable in Singapore is actually owning a car. All right, so it's a pretty cool concept here. Now, before you actually own a car here in Singapore, you have to buy this certificate called the Certificate of Entitlement, or COE. Now, the whole concept between this Certificate of Entitlement, or COE, is to really, really restrict the number of cars out there. So that's why there's practically no traffic except for peak hours, right? So the traffic here, the highways here, the roads here are pretty smooth because the government is smart enough to limit the number of cars by introducing this COE. And this certificate is actually up for auction on a monthly basis. So probably can you guess how much one certificate actually costs for a normal car?
So is this a one-time fee, or
Yeah, it's just a one-time fee to
one
own
time?
that. Yeah.
By the way you're phrasing it, I'm guessing it's higher than I'd like to think. I'm gonna say 10,000 USD.
Nope, higher.
Oh, 20? 20,000?
Nope, higher.
Oh my God. 100,000.
It's probably 70 USD.
Oh my God.
70K USD. Now, listen, Jack, you're just getting that certificate only, all right? You have not actually purchased the car. You actually get
Right.
that certificate for you to purchase the car. So on top of the cost price of the car, you're paying that 70K plus to the government. So that's why, owning a car here is really expensive. It's good and bad, right? The good thing is they really restrict the traffic here, which is good. The pollution as well. But the bad thing is, for a family whereby they have a lot of kids, well, owning a car is tough, man.
Wow, that is crazy. I would almost imagine because it's so hard to purchase a car and there'd be less cars on the road, maybe that insurance might be less than what I would typically think, but I don't know. Do you know anything about now?
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
guessing you do not have a car.
no, I don't own a
Uh-huh.
car. It's too expensive to own a car. But the thing
Yes.
is that I work from the comfort of my home.
Mhm.
So I don't really see a need to actually own a car.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but the
okay.
thing is
What?
that
Uh-huh.
for auto insurance, right, it's pretty reasonable. They don't really charge you that high. I mean, auto insurance, life insurance, your personal insurance, hospital insurance, I would say they are very competitive. So it's not that extreme whereby everything is crazy. It's just that the idea, the whole concept of owning a car is just crazy, crazy here.
Wow. That is very eye-opening to say the least. I think another thing that Americans in particular are interested in is healthcare abroad.
Yeah.
How do you guys pay for healthcare coverage?
Yeah, in fact, I'm very curious about the American healthcare as well because there's a bit of a debate recently in terms of different political party. And I myself actually do invest one of the largest healthcare company, UNH. So that's why with this whole changing policies, it caught me, keeping the toe as well. But I will ask that later on in regards to the American healthcare. But for Singapore healthcare, um, in terms of the quality of the healthcare, all right, it's one of the best, I would say. I would say that most of the stuff, most of the healthcare technology services, the medications, the treatment, the surgery, we actually learn, mainly from the United States yourself. We also adopt a lot of technology procedures from the United States as well. So I would say that Singapore has one of the best healthcare in this region. But price and cost comes with the quality as well. Right. So what the government actually do for us is that we actually have this very basic insurance plan, right? We call it the MediShield plan, right? And it actually covers Singapore citizens in terms of hospitalization for government hospitals. I won't go into the detail of government hospital versus private hospital, but obviously there's a huge difference in terms of quality, waiting time, and treatment between the government hospital and a privately owned hospital, right? So at least the bare minimum, the basic, right? All Singaporeans are covered with this insurance, and if let's say they would need to seek treatment, they need to do a little, they need to do surgery or cancer treatment, stuff like this, they can actually use this insurance, or I would say they can visit a government hospital and use this insurance. But there's a caveat. This insurance don't cover you 100%, right? You still have to fork out yourself. If not, there will be an abuse to this whole system, right? Everyone just, I mean, after all, it's covered. So there's a caveat, right? And that is that the for us we have to actually pay a certain percentage to it. It really depends on your age as well as how much pension savings that you have. So I can't really give you that fixed amount. Now, besides that, right, there are also insurance company like AIA, Prudential, Manulife, Great Eastern that sells healthcare insurance or hospital insurance plans. They cover more comprehensively. They cover your private hospital bills, right? So if let's say, I mean, most of Singaporeans, with the extra spare cash, it's always good to get that sort of insurance because it kind of cover you the entirety. Of course, again, it can't cover you 100%. You still have to pay that 5% to 10%. Really depends on your age, the kind of plans that you purchase for your whole deductible. I think that's a good idea as well because we don't want, where we create a system where the citizens or people actually abuse the insurance program.
Mhm. Do the employers is your employment ever the source of your healthcare coverage, or do most people go either, well, I guess use the socialized healthcare coverage, or do they have to, even if they have a job, if they wanted the private, would they have to actively seek it out and get underwriting, or is it through the employer?
Yeah, for the employer, they actually provide very, very basic medical coverage, right? Those that actually cover you for, general outpatient, pharmacies, a little bit of your vision, dental. But they don't cover major illnesses, right? For example, if someone somehow diagnosed with a stage 1, stage 2 cancer or a bit of a heart disease or whatsoever, major illnesses, employers don't really cover that, right? They only cover the basic one. So, most of them actually have to seek out for those private insurers to actually get themselves insured, and they do have to pay a fee for it.
Okay, cool. So on top of, okay, so the car expenses were a big shocker to me. Are there any other things that you could think that might really surprise an American? Like for instance, I heard you guys can't chew gum. Is that true?
Sorry, come again.
I heard you guys are not allowed to chewing gum. Is that true?
Yeah. It's true. You actually get a fine of 100, almost 100 USD to chew gum. And that's the reason why Singapore has this infamous title called the Fine City, FINE. Because whatever you do, you get a fine, right? You jaywalk, you get a fine. You speed, you get a fine. You chew gum, you get a fine. You litter, you throw rubbish, you get a fine. So that's why it's a fine city. But yeah, we don't chew gum. You can't. Nobody buy gum or sell gum here in Singapore.
Is there any? Does anyone even smoke cigarettes anymore, or is there a sin tax on that as well?
Yeah. Yes, we do. I mean, people smoke cigarettes. Vaping is illegal here, right?
Okay.
So you can get fined again if let's say you get caught vaping. But a pack of cigarette is really expensive. I don't smoke, so I do not know how much it is. But I know that based on my friends who smoke, they are really trying to cut down their nicotine intake because cigarettes are getting more and more expensive, all because of this tax.
Gotcha. Okay. So as we're closing out, I've loved talking to you. I'm sure the listeners have gotten a lot of value from this. Why don't you tell people where they can go to find out more about you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, for sure. So my Twitter handle is invest with TGI. TGI actually stands for the Globetrotting Investor, which is actually happens to be my Instagram account as well. The reason why I actually created this was back, I think exactly 1 year ago, when the borders finally opened. And as you know, Singapore is a really small country. I finally get to travel out of Singapore. Yeah. And I can't really think of a nice Instagram handle. So I just, created this, the Globetrotting Investor, and I somehow stick to it. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram, the Globetrotting Investor, Facebook, or even on Twitter, Invest with TGI. Yeah, that's where you can actually find me. I do have a website as well, www.theglobetrottinginvestor.com as well. I mean, if let's say you and your audience are really interested to know more about the fundamental analysis of the US companies, I actually do all the fundamentals analysis up on my page. Feel free to go and take a look.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We'll have links to all those in the YouTube comments in the show notes. So Ben, thanks so much for coming on, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Jack, for inviting me to this. It's a privilege.